In case you forgot, this podcast has the 3 S's: sex, spoilers, and swearing. Please be advised. And we're back. It's been a while.
It's been a heckin' long time.
Listen, we had co-ops. We had co-op, and now we're back.
Keep calling it a co-op. Is it because we didn't get paid for it?
And you had to pay for it.
Yeah.
I had to pay for my parking at my co-op.
Yeah.
I suppose I didn't have to. I could have walked the 45 minutes, but I wasn't.
I was gonna say, that's why I biked every morning, so I didn't have to pay the $3 for a bus ticket.
You also weren't working in a law firm.
I didn't have to
work in a
anything.
law firm aren't really necessarily working on a bike.
Yeah,
No.
that's true.
Anyways, I didn't get much reading done during the last 2 months, so that's why we're hitting you with a mini-sode. Some rapid fire comments on things. It will probably still be the length of a regular episode.
Because we're classy.
Yes, we are.
We're talkative.
We are. We have lots of things we would like to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this is our DNF / on the fence / not to read list episode. I'm gonna come up with a better title than that. But
And I do feel like it's worth mentioning that we're not saying that other people shouldn't read these. We're just saying that
reading
we
is
don't want to
personal.
read them.
Reading is personal. Yes. Yep. Shall we hop right in?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do we have any extra preamble that we want to bother with, or are we?
No.
No, we're good.
No, we're
Okay.
good. I mean, shout out to Grace who made a fantastic new piece of cover art for the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel's up, and
Adorable.
our podcast on Apple Podcasts, it has some new cover art, and it's
Yeah.
gorgeous, much better than the PDF editor function that we were working with before.
Shout out to Canva for having great graphics.
There we go. So it's gorgeous, and yeah, you should subscribe, you should share with your mom, you should share with her book club, you should share with her church group.
Oh no, not
Maybe
the church.
Alright.
maybe the mailman.
Maybe not the church group.
But if they
unless they're
subscribe,
really
you
cool.
still make money,
Okay.
even if they hate
But
it.
will they subscribe?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Okay.
We could just try everyone. If we keep hitting, eventually we'll hit a home run. You know.
I
Definitely.
mean, yeah, I feel like we're just a little too scathing of, like,
The mailman might
Thanks.
like us.
Mailman
Sure.
might like us.
yeah.
Yeah, your neighbor. Who knows?
Who knows?
I feel like we've got a wide range. You know, lots of people like us in real life.
Lots
Yeah,
of people
Contrary
like
to what
books.
you might assume.
And lots of people like books. You're right.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But we're not going to talk about books that we like in this episode.
No. Again.
No.
Somehow we keep talking about books we don't like.
We need to fix that.
Eventually.
It's easier to find criticisms than,
We are actively planning an
Praise.
episode giving out spoilers for a book that I did not mind. So there we go.
Did not mind.
We also in the future will do a favorite childhood books episode. So that is inherently we like
Yeah.
these books.
There
That's
you go.
true.
Planted.
Yeah. All right. Shall we begin?
Sure.
yes.
Do we have a preference as to what we start with? DNF or will not read?
I feel like DNF is a good soft starter.
Yeah,
Are we
that's
good
true.
with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
I can start. Let's get the easy one. The rest of Akatar. That wasn't gonna happen.
Well, we knew that.
Would you like to
Yeah.
rehash your reasons quickly for those who may not have listened to those episodes?
I discovered after having several people ask me why I didn't like the first one that it's really just Sujumas feeling like she can use sexual assault as some cheap plot point. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
That was a big seller of this is not for me.
A big oof.
A big oof, perhaps. And I also just realized, there's only so many books in the world that I have time to read. So we're gonna be picky, I decided recently.
Super valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started returning books to the library that I didn't finish.
Oh.
It was very novel.
It was
That's
very
great.
liberating.
Yeah.
Can I ask you though, did you regret reading the first one?
No, because I feel like I am, my finger is back on the pulse of the people. That I now know what people are talking about when they talk about
Sure.
Rhysand and Tamlin and Feyre.
Who is
Lost
not,
her name
it's
for a
important
sec.
that you know that she's not like other girls.
Yeah.
Feyre, who is not like other girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's had a very hard life.
Oh my gosh. I am an accidental aggressive hipster at times in that I am no, that's cool, I can't know about that. But I do
Yeah.
I do like knowing what other people are talking about though. Like I am the nerd who will like sit through 2 hours of a video essay instead of watching the show.
She
'cause
did
I-
this
That's
with
interesting.
one of S.J. Moss's books,
Yeah.
Crescent City.
Carrie can read on YouTube. She's great. She did 2 different videos about the Crescent City books that were like both 5 hours long. I sat through each of
That
them.
is fantastic.
They're
What, did she
so
read the
good.
book out loud to you for 5 hours?
She might as well have. She literally just did a plot summary, and I was like,
So
"This is
good.
exactly what I want."
I'm not gonna like get into it during this episode,
Uh-huh.
but after reading the second Crescent City,
I'm so mad.
I locked myself in the bathroom and called Grace.
I literally shouted when she said it in the video.
You startled your cats.
I paused it and shouted.
You startled your cats.
Yeah.
So funny.
I locked myself in the bathroom and called Grace, and I don't even think I was saying anything. I think I was just shouting.
Yeah. It was ridiculous.
Oh, just
Anyway.
But anyway, yeah, I do not intend to read any of her other books, hence sitting through 2 5-hour videos about them.
Yeah.
valid.
There we
Because
go.
I like knowing, I like being aware and informed, but I do not care to sit through that writing style. I don't care to sit through the weird sexual violence. Like, I just don't. And like, I know we got a lot more like fade to black or like cock blocking in the first book, but I just don't trust that I would find her sex scenes hot based on those.
From
also, you know what I mean?
Avatar, the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fair.
That's fair.
And so, like, why am I even reading?
But, like, the best sex scene is
Chapter 44.
Is that what it is?
The paint sex.
The paint one, where you're just, like, standing there going, this is so unsanitary.
Yeah. I
know! You're gonna get a UTI.
Yeah. That doesn't
Okay.
sound hot.
Alright,
Sounds
next.
We
distracting.
already did an episode on this.
We
Next book.
Lori, go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with a weird one.
Okay.
Little Women. I've mentioned this to you guys before, and
Yeah.
Grace is just
I am
dying to
deeply
know
intrigued.
why.
I have not read it personally. I did perform one scene when I went to a theater camp one time.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and like, you know, loved the movie,
Mm.
obviously.
I
Yeah.
did like the
Queen
The movie was
performance,
good.
Yeah.
And I'm just
So,
I feel like I read it when I was too old.
Oh.
Because I read it in or I started reading it, sorry, in anticipation of the movie. And it's just like, oh my god, it's just preaching.
Oh.
Like, every single chapter is like this, and I don't know, I only got like 5 or 6 chapters in, maybe, and it was just like,
It is
every single
Christian shit.
chapter, yeah, it's very Christian themed, and it's just like, every single chapter is just like, preaching weird child moral like
oh.
values of like don't steal or like whatever, you know, be good to your sisters, like, and it's just oh my god, it's like
Sounds very biblical.
very biblical, very mind numbing, and just especially like super weird because the themes are so ridiculously simple, and then the writing is like Jane Austen, and I'm like, all right,
Oh.
it was very bleh. So very difficult to read for many reasons,
Yeah.
and hated it very much.
Yeah. I also can't sit through a lot of old books.
Yeah.
Like, there is just like an energy to them.
Very dry. They can be dry.
They can be very dry.
Yeah.
And if you're not invested in any of it, then
Yeah.
it's just not even worth like pounding your brain to get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say though, like this is gonna be on one of my favorite, my list of favorite childhood books.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite books to this day is still Secret Garden,
Oh, yeah.
Frances Hodgson Burnett. Yeah. So.
It's fair.
Little Women, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did love the movie though.
Yeah. Great movie. Florence Pugh.
Oh my gosh.
Who doesn't love
I
Florence
do.
Pugh?
What a
Love me
gift.
some Emma Watson too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this is like half DNF, half not to read, because I did read the first, I don't know, arc? What would you call it? It's Cassandra Clare's Shadowhunter series. So I read the first saga, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
Of the Clary and Jace.
Yeah.
The Mortal Instruments.
Yeah, I read the Mortal
Yeah.
Instruments. The whole overarching series, I think, is the Shadowhunters, and there is I refer to it as a series because there is an order to each series.
Yeah.
I actually did really enjoy The Infernal Devices, which is the prequel to that. I enjoyed them more than The Mortal Instruments, which doesn't often happen for me. Normally, I am more likely to enjoy an author's debut work than I am to enjoy something that came out later. That said, I have to stress, though, before I say this, that this has not been, like, Cassandra Clare's never made a statement about this. There's never been anything, I don't want to say concrete, because that's not the way, but just when City of Bones, the failed movie, was filming in Toronto, there were just things kept popping up pretty consistently. It wasn't just an isolated thing online of her being rude to fans, like fans coming up to her, asking her to sign books, and her being like, get away from me, go away. Like, I just do not stand authors being rude to the people that got you to where you are. Without your fans, you would not be getting a massive royalty check from this movie.
Yeah,
so
but
shitty.
I don't like it.
Authors don't owe people don't owe people anything.
I understand that.
Like, I don't, like, I get being polite, but I also, like, and I'm sure it's not, like, you know, maybe it's different than what I'm getting from your fourth hand, we're gonna say at this point, account. But like you can't just come up to people, even if they're famous, and be like, "Hey, sign my shit."
For sure.
Like, like that's more my thing of it is just like, no, if a random stranger is approaching you on the street, you're allowed to be a little bit like, "Don't talk to me."
Sure.
I don't know, but I do get how that can like rub you the wrong way for sure. Yeah,
and I just think as well, like, there were reports of she was part of the reason for them not doing another movies because she was really difficult to work with.
Yeah.
So it's just
she's had a long running reputation of being a bully.
Yeah, so it's not just that thing. Like, there's a bunch of other things that I've heard that kind of it wasn't an isolated incident, and I just, you know, I really can't. I don't want to support someone who isn't at least polite to the people trying to give you more opportunities and essentially contribute to your payday.
Yeah.
So that's just how I feel about it. And also, from the standpoint of the literature itself, it's just really repetitive. The Shadowhunter series is just kind of the same thing over and over again. There's always political turmoil and bureaucratic bullshit, and someone is always in love with their Parabatai, and despite the fact that this is for some reason that we never actually get forbidden, and I don't know. It's the same story over and over again. They're also getting longer and longer and longer.
I know, it's just ridiculous.
Queen of Iron or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
like 600, 700 pages.
Yeah.
They're bricks. Several bricks. 4 bricks in a book.
But that series was over for me the second she was still attracted to him. I know he wasn't her brother.
It was a question mark brother.
Question mark brother.
Yeah. That was bad.
Thought they were siblings.
That was a poor decision.
And she was still attracted to him. And I'm like, no.
So, I've got a whole bunch of reasons for that one. That is why I will not be continuing with that series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Grace, you got something else for us?
Yeah, I will do quick insert. That's also on my DNF.
Oh, really?
But, like, not fully. I put it on my
same.
not to read one because
Yeah.
I've literally read the first chapter, like, 3 separate times. Because every time I kept being like, maybe it's just not right now. Because, like, everything about that series is my shit. Like,
You like
in
the
theory,
original
right?
You
In
would think.
theory, it should be my thing. And I did get a little bit into it when they did the graphic novel adaptations with Cassandra Jean as the artist, because I fucking love Cassandra Jean as an artist and have been following her since like the Smack Jeeves days. Like I love her a lot. But I couldn't even continue with that. Like I got until I think volume 3 and I was like, this is boring.
Yeah.
This is nothing.
Yeah.
Like Simon turned into a rat and I was like,
That was great.
okay.
He was also a vampire briefly.
He was a vampire briefly. But my actual next one, I just wanted to get that on the table.
Oh, yeah.
I'm number 4. I got through the first book because I really loved the movie. I got a weird obsession with Alex Pettyfer because of that movie.
Yeah.
And then I got, like, I must have been gifted the next couple. And I started book 2, because the first one is really weird and cool and interesting. Like, it's a really fun sci-fi concept. But then I got, like, 6 chapters into book 2, and I was like, I don't like this. I'm gonna read something else.
It's just like, oh no.
That was really being billed as the next craze for a while.
It
and
was.
It just never really...
It really could have been too. And like the movie was good. Like it wasn't bad. I don't know why they dropped it after one.
It didn't make its budget back.
That makes a lot of sense actually, because again, it's a big budget sci-fi thing. It needs to make its budget back.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a great, like, conceptually, it's the whole, there are 9 chosen ones and you have to go find each other. Ooh, which I think I liked it too because I really enjoyed, the 5 Gates, or like the Raven Gate by, Anthony Horowitz.
Oh, yes.
Like,
Yes.
that's such a fun series, and it was all like, you follow this one kid who's one of 5 people who are the gatekeepers, like, that whole concept of, like, you have to go find your ragtag team, that's great. That's a good time. That can make me put up with some sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like, I can get behind this now. But yeah, no, I just, none of the new characters were nearly as compelling as the original people, so I ended up just giving them away, because I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I wrote down after, and, because...
So I need to give context to this. Can I
You
just-
do, yeah.
Yeah, this
Okay.
needs
Please
context.
explain this, because you explain it the best.
I'm not gonna. Our first episode was on after, prior to Lori joining our podcast team, and Lori binge listened to some of our episodes before they officially joined our team, and they were like, "I've never read After. I need to read After." So they borrowed my copy. 2 days later, they were like, "What did I just experience? I just got hit by a truck." And I was like, "You finished it? What?" And they were like, "I couldn't stop. I was like, what is happening to you?" It was weird. You couldn't stop. And then you wanted the second one. And then you did what I did, and you slammed the emergency brakes on down in the middle of the second book. And you were like, "I've come to my senses.
I didn't know that's what happened.
I'm never doing any more of this."
Was it the second or the third one?
Doesn't matter. They're both the fucking same.
I know.
They are.
But, like, it was just like, it's like a train wreck.
Did you get to
It's
her
not
being hit
just
by
a
a
single
car?
train wreck.
No.
It's like the trains hit each other, and they back up, and then they hit each other, and then they back up, and they hit each other again.
Oh, just like the sex scenes.
Oh, God.
Thanks.
What did you ask, Grace?
What?
Nothing.
Oh, did you get to the car accident? Because that will tell you which book that was in.
Maybe? I don't know.
Was all blur. Just to
I
get to
got-
the car accident.
Probably. I got to the part where they're going on a boat trip with the Landon's family. I refer to them as
3.
Land. I'm pretty sure that's 3.
Is that the one? Oh yeah, where Hardin accuses Tessa of trying to entrap a child.
Yes!
He does.
Sorry. That was...
Yes, right.
I hate it.
And then she's not allowed to be mad at him for calling her potential landlord in Seattle and telling the landlord not to rent to her because she's a horrible tenant.
Yeah. Which, wow. Just icing on the cake. Oh, babe.
And then she marries him. She marries this guy.
But she's gonna fix him, Grace.
Oh, no!
She's gonna fix him.
Anyway, so you can wonder why we might not want to finish these books.
You can't fix stupid. Alright, Maddie, go.
Is that it? That's the story?
I mean, sure.
I feel like it's pretty cut.
We've already rehashed after 100 times.
Listen, I told you. Don't do it. You were like, "I'm gonna do it." I said, "Don't do it." And then you were like, "I'm gonna do it." And I was like, at the very least, don't spend money on it. Take my copy. It's
true, it's very
whatever
true.
happens to you next is not my fault.
I mean, yeah, we also just watched the first 20 minutes of the film and we're just screaming why the entire time.
I love
Because
the movie.
shockingly, the movie is faster than the books.
I love the movie.
Yeah.
It fills me with
It's
so
so
much joy.
bad. Like,
Yeah.
it's just holy crap.
Yeah.
So that is also on my list. DNF. I did not finish the After series.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of. I had gotten a box. There was a box set of all the books that was on sale at my local bookstore, which is why I had all of them.
Yeah.
And it ended up being the same price as the first one. So I was like, oh,
Whoa.
so may as well, right? Because they're thick books.
That's great.
Yeah, so I had all of them, so I read the end of the fourth one, assuming correctly that the rest of 3 and most of 4 would be the same show.
Yeah.
14, 15, 16, 34 times.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's that. I guess I will come up with an actual one. I DNF'd The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. My reasoning for that is, in contrast to After, it is much too slow. It is an interesting concept, and I didn't even necessarily, I'm not saying I'm permanently DNFing this. I might go back to it when I'm more in the mood for something like that.
Yeah.
But it's just only because I like the concept. I think the concept is very interesting, but it is quite slow. It's very slow moving, and someone confirmed for me that it continues at that pace. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that
DNF
was me.
with an asterisk, maybe not in the future.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was me that told you that it continues at the slow pace
Probably
the
I'm
entire
gonna talk to
time.
you too and my dog.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, no, I had the same period of where I didn't finish it, but it was just like I picked it up like a month later and I ended up finishing it, and it was just like, it's a really interesting concept, and it's honestly like a decent book. Like it's, because it's just like cunning, and it's just like, but yeah, a little frustrating to read.
yeah. It is getting an adaptation though, so I'm committed to, if I'm gonna go back to it, I will go back to it before the movie comes out.
It's fair.
So I don't know anything about who's in it. I just know that it is getting an adaptation.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
You got another one for us, Grace?
I do. I did just close my phone for my notes,
We have a
but I
list.
did have another one. Oh yeah, Beautiful Creatures.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big thing for a while.
Yeah, it was. I feel like it's worth clarifying that most of what I read is young adult fantasy. I don't branch out that often, and when I do, it's under very specific circumstances, or someone else told me that I need to read this book, and I'm like, okay, I want to talk to you about this book. Let's go. So I thought Beautiful Creatures would be really fun because it's the girl that's the magic one in this paranormal romance. And then I sat through the audiobook, which is so funny because the audiobook is fully produced. There's a key plot point that's he hears a song very often, and it's slowly giving him hints about the magic that's going on in this world. And they gave it a backing track and shit.
Nice.
It should be nice, but instead it's really cheesy and cringy, so I'd be in the car please stop, please stop, please finish.
So don't listen to it as not.
Do not, if you're gonna try it out at all, don't listen to it. But also, it was just the worst version of romance that I can't tolerate it anymore. There's too many books in the world for me to sit through this if I don't care.
What kind of romance is it?
Cause it was the classic she's all, oh no, don't come near me, I'm damaged.
No.
So it was
Oh, goodness.
everything about it was the exact same as every other straight romance that people hate on, except the genders were flipped. That's literally it. She is the damaged magical girl,
Oh, good.
and he is the every boy milquetoast, very cute, but also
Toast.
he's milquetoast. But also, it takes place in, I think, North or South Carolina. So you also get that little sprinkling of Civil War shit that you're
During that time frame?
dude, you have to. No, but because she's magic, part of the plot is that their romance happens every few centuries or whatever.
Oh,
So-
reincarnation.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
Kinda, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But so we get stories from back then, and also some visions a couple times. But it's mostly that it's the same way that Vampire Diaries has Civil War shit in it.
Yeah.
It's just a fact of the town that they were Confederates.
Yeah.
And just taken as whatever. So he lives in an old plantation house and it's just like not
addressed.
not really a concern enough.
Great.
Which, like, I've mentioned before, I don't know if I've mentioned it vocally, but, like, you can have problematic shit in a book. That's fine. It's fine. And you don't have to address it necessarily. Like, you can have a problematic book. It's just gonna make me a little harder for me to read it. If you're not gonna acknowledge that it's weird or problematic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Completely valid.
Super valid.
Right? I think so. I think I'm valid.
Yeah.
Of course.
Happy Pride! Happy Pride Month, everybody! I'm valid.
So, oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
My next thing that I've written down is Lord of the Rings.
Spice.
Because, and this is like, I have mentioned this in a podcast before, and I have this conversation all the time, because it's not just that I didn't finish the books because old white man writing where one sentence is 2 pages long, and I'm like, I cannot keep reading this description of mountains, I'm sorry. But like, I also had a couple of people that I was really close to in high school that were obsessed with Lord of the Rings and like Lord of the Rings movies, and I'm just like, I have watched those movies too many times to ever want to watch them ever again, and I'm just like, oh my god. So not only were the books ridiculously boring, the movies are just burned in my brain. Yeah.
That is so funny. Because I had like one friend, and she convinced me to sit through the first 2, and we were gonna like binge watch all of them.
Yeah.
Like before
Naturally.
that was like a thing people just did, because it was like years ago now.
It was like 2005.
Yeah, but then we made it through the first 2, and she was like, I can't sit through another movie, and I was like, okay. So I've never seen the third one.
That's the best one.
I imagine, but I've never seen it. But I totally get it. I totally get not wanting to read them, because I had to read them for a class. And
You didn't read any Shakespeare, but you read Lord of the Rings for a class?
I read Lord of the Rings for a class because it was a Catholicism class in university specifically about Tolkien and his Catholicism.
Okay, but Jennifer would kill me. Like,
If she knew that you didn't like the movie.
yes, or any of it.
I don't know. I think not wanting to sit through old white man writing is entirely correct. But I will say, nothing is funnier than the fact that it's old white man writing, and the bit with the Ents, where like our main Ent man, whose name I forget right now.
Treebeard.
Yeah, him. He like tells the story to Merry and Pippin about how the Ent wives just left, and they don't know why. Like, we talk all the time. And we made them do all of the gardening and housework, but we don't know why they abandoned us. Anyway.
It's like a very heteronormative society.
Yes.
Like, why?
Old white man writing.
White man writing. Like, I'm
yeah.
sorry, but I just cannot force myself through that.
No.
Like you said many times already, why? Why would I put myself through that?
Why would I put myself through that?
Yeah.
Like, I like being in the know, but if I don't have to put myself through that to be in the know, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
So, I have 2 more.
Okay.
The first one is They Wish They Were Us by Jessica Goodman, which is just like a YA thriller / murder mystery type thing, where everyone's at this elite prep school, and there's a secret society of high achievers, and one of them was murdered a couple years ago, and the best friend of the girl that was murdered is the main character, the protag. She's the narrator. I thought it was going to be like a fun, like in the vein of Pretty Little Liars, like, okay, this isn't going to be the best thing I've ever read, but it'll be at least entertaining. It really was not, because it was obvious from chapter 3 who fucking killed this bitch.
Yeah.
And the protag's in denial because she has a crush on the murderer.
Oh
And then the murderer's ex-girlfriend is like, dude, this is really sketchy. You can't do this. Like, he killed her. And she's like, oh, he would never do that. Oh, I don't. you're wrong, you're crazy. And like, no, I'm actually the only sane person.
Wow.
It was just
blaming there.
right, and I got like halfway through, and I was like, maybe it gets better, maybe she gets smarter, maybe there's a point to this. No,
Oh.
no,
They never
I was
get
right
smarter.
the whole time. She was in love with the murderer. She persisted in saying that she never could have guessed it was him, and I was like, well, maybe you did deserve to be the next victim then, because fucking Darwin, girl.
Yeah. Wow.
Bruh. I know she's fictional, but cold-blooded. But yeah, no.
Anyways, yeah,
Yeah, I feel like there's a right and wrong way to do a murder breakfast club.
there is. This isn't it.
No.
Making it obvious from like the 5th page who did it. This isn't it.
No. Yeah, my last one, for DNFing at least, was Dune by Frank Herbert.
Spicy.
Yeah, I didn't have to. It was an optional read for my sci-fi themes class. At like the tail end, and he kept being like, it's a thick book, like it's a lot to take in.
He
You're
being
gonna
the
have to,
prof?
like, hold on, yeah.
Okay.
So I ended up paying $1.99 for the ebook version, and I got through the first page, and I was like, this is too dense. Because it is a very world-building, very lots of characters, just very dense book, and I'm sure it's very life-changing. And I'm sure it has a lot to say about environmentalism and like Vietnam War and shit.
Oh yeah.
But no, I'm not. It's in my Kobo library forever, but it's not gonna get read by me.
At least she only wasted like $2.
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
Nice.
I would have just gotten it from the library if it hadn't been so cheap on Kobo.
Yeah.
So you know.
I mean, it was a great movie.
Oh, like the new one?
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. And I'm sure the old one is like a great little, cheesy B-movie hate watch.
Hilarious
Or not
1985
Yeah.
production. Yeah.
With the dude from Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
But I probably won't even sit through the movie. Like it's just a lot.
Yeah.
And the fact that they plot twisted the new movie and they were like, oh, this is actually part 1.
Oh yeah, I hated
That
that.
fills me with rage.
I'm like, oh, we're doing this again.
Well, we're gonna make it a secret. That's what I didn't like. But it's just like, I don't think you didn't know going in. But I do get it, because Dune, again, thick boy. There's a lot going on there.
But-
It's worth spreading it out, but also just get a TV series.
Mm-hmm.
Just make it a
Yeah.
TV series.
Yeah.
They did it with Star Trek
Yeah,
quite
exactly.
successfully.
I do appreciate that they have been doing that more often with novels, though.
Yeah.
Is
Mhm.
that they've been turning them into TV series rather than
Mm-hmm.
2-part movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think this is my last did not finish. Yeah. Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
Oh yeah.
We talked about this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 'cause
I
it's
wasn't
just
there.
Like, I think it was just being Grace.
Explain yourself.
Okay, so it's this book where it's just like you're reading it and it sounds like this great little like housewife turned gay thing, and it's just like, but then you start reading it and you're like, oh, this is an autobiography,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, this is not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah, because they stick it in self-help. Although they also have will in self-help.
It's weird.
So,
Anyway.
purchase may vary.
You confused me when you started there because I was like, wait a minute, it's almost always I've seen it in nonfiction sections.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not a biography, and I'm same. I'm sure I've only seen it in nonfiction. I don't know why they stick it in self-help either. I mean,
Self-help
maybe.
books are-
Sure.
Hot take. Self-help books won't actually teach you anything because then you would stop buying self-help books.
Exactly. It's an industry for a
Anyway,
reason.
go on.
And it's just like, it's a great story, and it's just like, but I have this, we talked about this before, but I have this weird aversion to things that are real, because I cannot
Real life
read
sucks.
or watch things that I know are real, because I'm just like, this is real, I don't like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but also the fact that it was an autobiography versus like an actual story was just weird to me, so didn't finish.
Oh.
Yeah.
My last one is Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, and it was just too heavy on the dialogue and not heavy enough on the moving the story along.
Valid.
I know everyone absolutely loves Normal People, the book and the TV series. interestingly enough, our friend Janine, who has been featured on this podcast before, also is not a great fan of Sally Rooney. And Janine is a big reader.
Yeah.
We were trying to get her back on, but she was so traumatized by the first one.
Very different books from her.
Yes, but she also dislikes Sally Rooney. And I've heard that Normal People is the same, because at first I thought, oh, maybe it's just conversations with friends and I need to try Normal People because everyone was raving about it. And I heard that Janine said, yeah, it's basically the same thing. So I will not be finishing that. And also the main character / protag / narrator in Conversations with Friends is very self-centered and selfish and vapid, and living inside her brain was not fun for me, so this is not one that gets an asterisk. I don't see myself finishing this.
Yeah.
I think that's all our DNFs,
It is.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna mention one, because I did a quick search of worst books of 2021 before this, and another Sally Rooney book was in like the top 10. Beautiful
Really?
World, Where Are You?
Yeah.
Is that her latest one? I think it
I
might
guess
be.
so.
Yeah.
And I think it's really hilarious that that's 3 books that people hate from Sally Rooney, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
So we are getting on here to our not to read list. Books, not books that we have started, maybe books that we have thumbed through in the bookstore, maybe stuff that is popular. Yeah, we're just talking about the ones that are on our list of things that we are not going to read. Do you mind if I go first?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to start off with an easy one. I am not going to read Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and though I felt it was a bit too long for what was happening in it, I still did enjoy it. It was not a waste of my time, and I would read more by her. And in fact, I have another book behind me on the shelf that I'm going to read. The reason I'm not going to read Daisy Jones is because the book is entirely written in letters, emails, posters.
I lost the word as I was saying it.
There's no, prose?
Yeah.
I don't really enjoy books like that. I personally find it hard to follow the story when it's written that way, so this is more a personal thing than it is an issue per se, but yeah, I will not be reading Daisy Jones and the Six for that reason, because I don't think I would enjoy it for that reason.
I actually did the opposite. I read Daisy Jones and the Six, and I have yet to read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but I thought it was interesting. Like, it's a great book, but yeah, you're right, it is written entirely, like, in quotes, so...
Yeah, it's just not my thing.
Fake quotes, but...
Yeah.
Because that was interesting, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I want to start by mentioning that I'm not going to read Serpent and Dove.
Sure.
I wrote down her name, Shelby Mahurin.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
I don't even know anything about these books. Please tell me
That's so
everything.
fun. Okay, so picture this: Enemies to Lovers.
Right.
It is like Victorian era France, I think, like medieval France,
Sure.
whatever you want to call that sort of retro chic time. But our main character is a witch, and she is an awful witch.
Sure.
Her best friend, who is one of the few black characters, is named Coco in
Oh, no.
France. And it's enemies to lovers in that she is basically forced to marry a witch hunter because he gets caught hitting her. So the main, like, pope / pastor, whatever you want to call him, of the town is like, you have to marry her so it's okay that you hit her.
Oh my god.
So, already, this is, like, sketchy. Again, problematic material. That's fine, whatever. And then it has the most juvenile humor I have ever heard. To avoid having sex with him that first night that they're married, but to prove that they consummated the marriage, she just, like, does a huge slash in her arm and bleeds on the sheets that way. Which, like, I get that we're in old-timey France, but that's not... What are you doing? You would not bleed that much.
That's very aggressive.
Or at
Very
all.
aggressive, or at all. You do not need to bleed that much, like, at all. I just sat through with Cindy's review of the first book, which like she has pretty scathing reviews of most young adult fantasy because she's an adult woman who doesn't really enjoy young adult as far as I can tell.
Clearly.
But it just very much made me be like, yeah, no, not my style. So there's 3 books in that series, and it is pretty well received for the most part. But not gonna happen by me.
Yeah.
If you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also like already. Like, I feel like I've mentioned that I like enemies to lovers, but I am an honestly pretty tough sell on enemies to lovers. Because I don't...
It's been done.
Yeah. And did I say before I like enemies to lovers, but I don't like domestic abuse? I find it very hard for some writers to realize the line. So I have a hard time trusting them to, like let me sit through.
It's like after Hardin and Tessa. That is not enemies to lovers. It is just domestic abuse.
It's just domestic abuse. And I have no interest in sitting through it. To have that be bookended with with like a 20 questions scene where it's like, oh, what's your favorite color? Mine's this. Mine's this. Like that's not that's not romance.
Sexy enemies to lover is like knife to the throat.
Yes.
And like, what are you doing? It's like something,
Yes.
Not, I will literally beat the living shit out of you.
Yeah. Like, I didn't like Akatar, but I would argue that Feyre and Rhysand, pretty decent enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, that, like, he does spend most of the first time they know each other drugging her.
Yeah.
But, then, it's not bad. It's not bad.
He doesn't really bully her.
To most things. He doesn't bully her. Like, he teases her, but that's different.
And it's like he has that whole night court persona.
He's gotta keep up,
that he's gotta keep up, but
I do love a bad boy. I do love a fake bad boy. And a real one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it.
That's fine. Keeping on that thread, Violent Delights. I read the synopsis and was just like, no. Because it was literally Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
And I don't think she even changed the names.
Nope.
And I was like, wow.
I think they're a little bit shifted because it's supposed to be like Shanghai in 1920 or something.
I don't care. Don't call him Julietta. And I don't remember his name. I think it was literally Romeo. Like, it was so stupid. I'm just like, oh my god. And just like, of all the things, like, again, enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
I cannot sit through literally Romeo and Juliet.
So
like,
we're all on the same page here.
Yeah.
Because my next one is Cool Prince by Holly Black.
Oh my god.
Because I've literally heard from multiple sources, including Grace, that...
we had this conversation like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember who told me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've heard from many sources, multiple sources, the internet and people that I know in real life, that it is not enemies to lovers, but rather bullying with some sex.
Yes! And it's so confusing, because they're like, they hate each other so much that they love each other. And it's just like...
That's not how that works.
What?
No.
Like, there's no love between the two of you, but like, you're obsessing over each other, and then you're like, doing the like, romantic thing, and then you're like, oh, they get married as a joke. Not really. But, like, it's like a political move that's fake, and then it's just like, oh my god, the entire series is just so confusing.
There's a subset to enemies to lovers of, like, bullies to lovers romance, and I just don't, like, I try not to shit on genres as a whole. That is one where I break that rule, because I just, like, cruelty is just not...
No.
And, I get it, it's fictional. The book is... She just smacked the table.
We're fine.
Everything's okay. She's getting, Lori's just they're getting really passionate.
Mm-hmm. Have you watched Sex Education?
No, I have not. I'm continuously told that I should, though. It's just, but
it has that in it, and you would be so mad.
But it's, like, enemies to lovers, like, I can kind of get, like, similar to what you said about Rhysand and Feyre, like, the teasing to lovers makes, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But, like, cruelty to love, like, and bullies to lovers I just can't get on board with because I feel like it is very unrealistic.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Even in this fictional realm, it doesn't make sense to me.
No. The thing with the sex education is like one of them is gay, but he's like internalizing the homophobia, and then he's like bullying the one who's outwardly gay, and that's like a really huge trope.
Yeah.
Just like in society, where it's just like, you know, you grow up where like. It's a very common example, but a guy pulls your pigtails, and then the parents are like, "Oh, it's because he likes you," and it's like, no, he's being a jackass. Parent your child. Like, that is not appropriate.
Like, teach him how to get my attention correctly,
Yes.
or teach him to tolerate not getting my attention.
Yeah.
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 Look at us being all professional and shit.
Yeah.
I do also want to acknowledge Girl Prince because I really like Holly Black's books. The books of hers that I've read, I really enjoyed.
She has been at this for a very long time, and
Yes.
she's produced some quality. Like I read the Spiderwick Chronicles when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Love
right?
them.
Like,
Yeah.
Love them.
very weird
But,
that
yeah.
that's the same writer.
Like, I got through maybe the first chapter of Cruel Prince, and I was like, nope, not happening.
At least the title's accurate.
Yeah, but my actual next not to read, we're gonna call Vampire Academy, which like I almost feel bad about, but I no.
You don't have to feel bad about it.
Yeah, like there was a time in my life when I just wanted to read vampire books, and like this is a thing to this day. It like I love. If anyone has any good vampire book recommendations, I want to read them. But post Twilight, all the ones that were acknowledged were not what I wanted out of vampire.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I've noticed, because we have a Google Doc of shared notes, so we can see each other's notes before we do the episodes. I noticed that you have the Sookie Stackhouse novels on
I
your
do also
list.
have that one on my list.
Would you like to explain yourself?
I can explain myself on that one at the same time. Even though it is for different reasons. I
Okay.
watched True Blood, the show, and I know that the adaptation changed things, and I'm sure it like changed thematic focuses and stuff like that. But like even without considering the thematic focuses that would have changed, and like knowing that it's a Monster of the Week kind of book series, no. I'm not a middle-aged woman yet, or may ever be. So like,
okay.
not for the middle-aged part, for the woman part.
Oh, okay. Like, should I be worried?
No, not yet. So like, I just know it's never going to appeal to my sensibilities. Especially if only because they came out in like 2005, and when I'm middle-aged, it'll be like 2030, and that's just not going to be the climate anymore. I don't know.
You mean middle-aged in 2030?
Wait, no, I won't be. 24? I don't know. I'm no math. You get my point though.
Yeah, I know what
Like
you mean.
it's gonna be a while before either of these things appeals to me. And also just like quick insert again, we're getting the vampires in the Civil War again, and I just I can't be bothered with these Civil War sympathetic.
The vampires in the Civil War.
What is it with them all being Confederates? Like they're allowed to be in the Civil War. The Civil War was a thing that happened.
Yeah.
If you want your vampires to be in America at the time, you can have them be soldiers.
Is it because it's the
Do
most
they all have to be
recent
Confederate?
war in America?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I had this thought the other day, though I don't know if I mentioned this on this podcast or not, but how rampant with HIV is the world of vampires?
It's literally... You have no idea, but it's literally a plot point in True Blood. Because to the extent that background details of posters will have the upside down triangle in it.
Wow.
Yeah, I really hated it.
Wow.
Yeah, like I thought I was mad before when I was watching True Blood, but then we got to the final season where the like vampire to gay metaphor is like really hitting it.
Oh man.
And then we get these poster details, and we get like talk of like there's a specific like disease that only the vampires can get that people are giving to the vampires and everything, and they call it something. I don't remember what anymore. And they might have literally called it Hep B. But anyway, so I was pretty mad. I finished it because if I didn't finish it, I knew I would be even madder.
Yeah.
But I still ended the series angry.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it's not a thing that's done in the novels because that's not what the novels are for. I don't know though, and I don't care to tread into that,
Sure.
lest I be betrayed again. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I don't need the incest panthers again. I don't need the police. I don't need the guy that shot a black kid to immediately become a cop again.
Oh no.
Like, I feel like there are things that are in the books,
But that's just real.
or that could be in the books, that I don't want to have experience again.
Yeah, fair.
So yeah, I did include Sugi Stegos. Because
Good.
I don't read a lot of adult fiction, barring, again, very specific circumstances, usually that they're gayer than that. And I know that they're gayer than that, and I know that the gays don't all die without good reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so it's just like, it's vampires, which should get me in there a little bit, but everything else about it is just like, nah.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my long talk
That's
about
fair.
True Blood.
My next one is like a many for one because it's like there's the Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then there's like the most recent Twilight thing,
Mm.
and I'm sure there's more, but it's just like series that were, once really popular
Ended 10 years ago?
ended 10
Yeah.
years ago, and I'm just sitting here going, why?
Okay, so like Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Midnight Sun,
Yeah.
Yes.
blah blah blah.
But also, like, I mean, I know the Insurgent series was like, or Divergent, was also like, she did the follow-up, like, pretty early afterwards, but that one, yeah.
Yeah.
But that one is also in that same category
Yeah.
of just, why? You finished the series. Move on. Everyone else has, like,
Do you also feel that way about like when TV and movie do that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Very mad. I'm
Yeah.
just like, why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No one has fresh ideas anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, can I plead devil's advocate here for a second?
Oh, yeah.
With Smire, I'm a little actually more forgiving because she was writing this like right after Breaking Dawn came out,
Oh, yeah.
Midnight Sun, and then it was leaked, and then she felt like she couldn't. There was no point to finishing it. So it's not like it was only started recently, which to me makes it less money grabby actually, knowing that there are receipts that she was working on this like in 2010.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So yes, but Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes feels very money grabby to
Yeah.
me, and also we did just get a teaser trailer for the film, which is coming, and I don't know anyone that was asking for a Coriolanus Snow backstory. Do you?
No.
No!
And
His
Grace-
name is character!
Grace works at a bookstore, and
I do.
you were telling me that you have not been hearing good things.
Oh, that's not where I haven't been hearing good things. I didn't hear good things on the internet mostly. But like I can see where it might be a fun exercise to be like, here's what the early days of the Hunger Games were like.
Yeah.
If we had Haymitch's story, I would be more interested in that.
Ooh.
He was still like mid. I mean, yeah, that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't they say he did one of the other like quarter quells?
Yes.
Well, he's you can only be a mentor
Yeah.
to a tribute if you have won a previous Hunger Games. So he
Whoa.
is the only other victor from the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like his story would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Snow
for
was
sure.
not in the Hunger Games.
No.
No, he was a
He's-
capital,
Yeah.
like, not sponsor, but like whatever Effie
He's
does.
a game maker.
Whatever Effie does is what he did.
He's in marketing,
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
effectively.
Yeah. So
But like also like you said, it was like the beginning of the games. So like
It was early
obviously
days,
there
yeah.
were no victors.
no.
So that is an interesting thing to think of.
Yeah. And I think some people didn't appreciate it, or like not didn't appreciate it, but like thought that it was a waste to have another from the 12th district, to have another like this, like it just, and like maybe Suzanne did feel like she really had to get this out and that it wasn't like necessarily a cash grabby thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like there were so many elements that were like Easter eggs to the original series,
Yeah.
and like callbacks and like all this stuff that you're like,
Don't need it.
don't need it. This could have been its own story. Like,
Yeah.
it can still be within the Hunger Games universe. It can still, like, reference stuff that happened to like make it clear where it goes in your timeline and stuff, but also didn't need to happen. Like literally the fact that Catching Fire is all of these different winners.
Yeah.
Literally any of them. A short story collection of all of them
Right?
winning.
Oh man.
That would have been good. And I'm
That'd
not
be so
even
fun.
necessarily mad that we got something from Snow's point of view. I just don't think it had to be a whole separate book. If we got a novella, that would have been like, okay, yeah, you know, maybe that's worth reading.
Yeah.
Like if it's like 100 pages, 150 pages.
Let's see
Okay.
how it did that.
On Midnight Sun, I mean, like I said, it feels less cash grabby to me just because we know that she was working on it years and years ago, whereas Suzanne Collins just came out with Ballad of Songbirds and Snake a couple years ago, pretty recently.
Yeah.
Last year, year before, something like
they
that.
came out very close to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Midnight Sun, I was not crying out for Edward's perspective. I mean, if it didn't need to be as long as it is.
No.
And I just, maybe, like, the reading minds is interesting, I guess, but
People wanted more of the Cullens, though.
yeah, they did.
But
They
they
did.
didn't care about Edward in that. Ask for more of the Cullens.
How about, like, Twilight from Emmett's perspective, man? That's what we wanted. That's what the people
Okay.
wanted.
But you just reminded me of another thing that I hate. That I'm just like.
If you
it's
hate
another
Emmett,
thing.
we're kicking you out.
I don't hate Emmett. It's the it's when they rewrite the same series from the other person's perspective.
That
I'm
is
like,
true. We are getting, like, word for word the same conversations.
Yeah, I'm like, I do not care.
That's true. Yeah, I guess.
How do you feel about books that do that within the same book, though?
If it's the same conversation, no.
I
Like,
mean,
Or like when they split up and you get
That's
the other
kind of
side of
interesting.
the conclusion.
Okay, that's interesting. If it's relevant.
Okay.
Like, I don't think rehashing the same story and having the same conversations is relevant.
can I poke
like-
at that?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, like, actually both Smire and Suzanne Collins, like, feel boxed in because, or feel like they have to stay in that universe because, like, Smire was kind of going back and tweaking things that we understood to be fact in previous books. For example, one of them being that he can't read, Bella's the only person that he can't read her mind. And then she slips in, oh, he can't read Charlie's either. What's that about?
He can like just get bits and pieces of Charlie's.
But still, it's like that.
But yeah, like
Doesn't
the
that
fact that these
concern
weird
you?
powers
Yeah.
are like actually genetic
Right?
somehow to some extent.
Like, that's
and
cool.
also
Yeah.
is a thing in humans? Like what?
Yeah.
Whereas, so there's that, and then also, it is stated in the Hunger Games that Haymitch, Katniss, and Peeta are the only victors from District 12
Yeah.
to ever exist. And then, boom, we got another victor from District 12 in Snow's story. She wins, yeah, spoiler. She wins.
Cool. Good to know.
I mean, I guess it has been like a million years.
But that's another thing, tying back to what you were saying, like, this could have easily been fixed by bringing us to a different district. Because all the other districts have had victors.
Right?
We don't know for a fact the number of the other victors in the other districts. But this is blatantly going against something that was... I'm using this as an example. There's like some other small things, but it's like, do you guys feel boxed in? Do you feel like you can't do anything else?
Yeah.
Is that why that is, maybe?
That's interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised because like Smire did other books, but
I
they
liked
didn't
The
do nearly
Host.
as well.
Yeah, but the host was good.
I liked the host. I also liked the chemist, but the host was still my favorite.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought the host was a very interesting concept.
Like, not to invoke the name of She Who Might Not Be Named, but like J.K. Rowling. You know what I'm talking about now.
Confused at first. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Like she
Oh.
also had like 3 different books after she wrote the Twilight. After she wrote Harry Potter, she wrote a few adult books that
Well-
nobody liked.
No. She wrote.
I know she wrote the mystery novels under that other pseudonym that is
Silkworm.
like.
Yeah.
They're very popular. They do
They
well.
are very popular, but they're not under her. They're not under the J.K. Rowling pen name.
We
They're
didn't
under
know
the
it
pen
was
name.
her until the second one came out.
Yeah, and they're also just like gross. And that pen name is pulled from a dude who's also notoriously gross. So like I don't know why she did that, but anyway. But still, my point here in that same idea of like maybe they don't feel like they can do anything else. She's also republishing all of these textbooks, the
Yeah.
Harry Potter textbooks,
Yeah.
alongside the new Fantastic Beasts movie. Like
She's also probably making royalties because they're her intellectual property.
Oh yes, definitely.
So much money. She's getting so much money and has so much money.
So upsetting. You're such a turf.
Because do you remember, like, after Harry Potter 7 came out, she was like, that's it, I'm not adding to it anymore, it's not, I'm done, and then
But
a couple
like,
years
even
later.
the fact that like they're the different like house republishings,
Oh my god, yes.
like all the different books published under the different houses, and apparently they all include like fun facts.
They do?
Throughout. Yes, and I only know this because one of my YouTube people, Willie Muse, he posted a video talking about how a fake fact that he made up when he used to write for College Humor, and he made like fake tweets from J.K. Rowling, like
what?
making up things about Harry Potter and making it like, it was one of those things where like, you know, you use a real one and then you gradually get more and more insane.
Yeah.
One of them got used and quoted of like these two teachers like dating or something. And it got published in the Hufflepuff book.
Oh my god, I need to find this.
Yeah. It's great. He's great. He's a very like
That's
small
so good.
YouTuber right now, but he's great. Yeah, like just milking it for everything it's worth, and like, on what planet do you need more money? That's my only question with all of these authors. Like, I can understand being bored, and I can understand wanting attention to an extent.
Yeah.
But you clearly have other ideas that you can like build on, or that you can like invest in. Like, is it the publishers? Is it your agent?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here, babe?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
What's going on?
But yeah, no, because 4 is divergent from 4's perspective.
Yes,
right?
it's a novella though, it's quite short.
Yeah, I
It is
can't remember.
not.
It's much shorter than Divergent.
It's very short.
It's
But-
it's shorter than Divergent, but it's not a novella.
Yeah, maybe
It's
not.
small.
If it was like their whole thing together, or like just his experiences
Of
from
the main
something
events,
else.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh.
Anyways, so I'm gonna group 2 completely different books together because I'm not reading them for the same reason.
Okay.
Lee Bardugo's Grishaverse and Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard.
Before you finish,
Yes.
can I know whether Six of Crows is included in the Grishaverse for you?
Yeah.
Or are you just counting like the main trilogy?
I think I'm including Six of Crows.
Oh no.
Well,
Scandals. But, like,
Maybe, okay, so let me just explain myself. I'm just really over, like, I know we joke about this, but I'm actually really over it. The girl who is not like other girls trope.
Ugh.
I'm getting sick of it. Like,
Yeah.
the stuff with, like, and as I understand, who's the main character in...
in the Grisha trilogy?
Yeah.
Melina? No.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Alina.
Alina, thank you.
The
Star
ship
Talk.
name is Melina.
Oh my god, yes.
Because his
Mal
name is
and
Mal.
Alina, yeah.
And then the
Anyway.
main character in Red Queen, who I cannot remember her name, I just, like, that's the whole premise, is, like, she's special from birth, and she didn't want these powers, but she has them, and now she
Yeah.
has to suffer for having them, and I'm just like, I've had enough, we've done enough of that. And, you know, some people I've seen comparing these two to Katniss, it's like, well, Katniss is not extraordinary in the sense that she has powers or anything. She's an ordinary person who is thrust into extraordinary circumstances. There's nothing special about her other than she volunteers to save her sister. These are I don't know why I'm just really done with these born abilities.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm done with it. I don't know. Maybe for right now, and maybe I'll change my mind in the future, but for right now I'm just kind of over it. Yeah.
As
Yeah,
someone,
it's not for our age group.
no, I mean, as someone who's read both of those, like, to the full extent for both series, like, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Actually, that's not true. I haven't read the last one of the Grishaverse one, because it hasn't come out in paperback, and I despise hardcover. Yeah, I know.
Are you counting the King of Scars, like those ones?
Yeah.
Oh, I was only thinking of the first 3.
No.
Okay, anyway, keep
Well,
going.
because you brought up asking if Maddie was going to read Six of Crows.
Yeah.
Because, like,
I forgot.
Six of Crows is worth it. And, like,
They conflate the two in the show, don't they?
Yes.
they do, which is annoying.
But not really.
Fine.
It just includes the crows, but that's not the crows plot in Six of Crows.
Yeah.
Except, and like Nina's stuff in the show is her backstory in Six of Crows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like they mess up part of Alina's story
By
including
them.
the Six Crows.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
Six Crows is great because it's got like that nice found family trope, and it doesn't have the girl born with special powers crap.
And none of them.
In none of them.
I mean, Nina has special powers. That doesn't count. Not in the same way.
Well, she's a heart render. Like that's just
That's a fun power. I don't know. Of all
Okay,
the
but, like,
creature
she's
powers,
not-
that one's the best.
she's not the sun summoner.
No.
Like the thing that doesn't exist. You know, like Anyway, yeah, I would say Six of Crows is worth it, and it's got like that fun like heist thing that you would probably like.
Yeah.
But for the Red Queen series, that was fine.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it had that same addictive quality as After, of just like you're reading it and it's just like gotta take it all in, but it's just like
And this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Yeah.
like there's a lot going on, and it's just like there's the war and there's like the weird swappy love interest crap, and it's just like it could be interesting, but you would have to put up with the I'm not like other girls trope.
Yeah. In a similar but slightly adjacent fashion, emphasizing again, I read mostly young adult fantasy. And I emphasize it again because I cannot sit through paranormal romance anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember reading.
Unless it's the Carry On series.
I do. Yeah. Okay. Yes. A very specific brand of paranormal romance that was specifically like initiated by the popularity of Twilight. That whole like the Fallens, the House of Night, the I liked Hush Hush. That was one that I sat through.
Becca Fitzpatrick. I like it because I don't seem to recall anyone else really doing the angel thing.
There was one other one that I remember seeing on the shelves at Chapters, but I did not pick it up because it looked more like Sarah Dessen does angels, and that's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
When I was picking up paranormal stuff.
Sarah Dessen does like chick lit. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So it had the energy of Sarah Dessen does angels,
Oh.
but it wasn't Sarah Dessen. Just
I
that
was
it
really
like,
confused. I was like, Sarah Dessen did paranormal romance.
Can you imagine? That would be so funny, and it still fits into the rest of the universe. Whoa. No. Yeah. So I would always find it like I'd be, picking up some random paranormal or like fantasy book, and then suddenly it would be a romance, and I'd be like, no. Like that's how I felt about the Savage Song. I was like, when did this become a romance? Or like a newer one, Not Even Bone. It's like Rebecca Schaefer or something.
Sure.
She's like debut author, like she's a newer one. But it was really cool and really like, selling monster parts in the black market, and there's like a corporation that like decides which monsters are on the blacklist because these are ones that kill people and these ones are the ones that are safe. So like there was all of that like cool understanding of like, ooh, different monsters, what does this mean? Like who actually decides what's a safe monster or not? Like all that kind of fun stuff. And then there was a romance plotline that suddenly became like the most important thing to the main character, and I was like, what if you didn't? And I just feel like that it like goes really well in hand with the Not Like Other Girls thing. But it really makes me want to emphasize that it just really shows that those books are not for us. Because
not anymore.
We're all past that point.
But like I feel like that's just because you can have romance in
Yes.
fantasy novels or paranormal novels.
Yes.
And it's just like you just have to have an even balance of plot lines.
Yeah.
Like keep your main plot lines the main plot lines. And if a romance is thrown in there, like if it's one of the main plot lines, just keep it steady.
Yeah.
Like don't, like you said, make it suddenly everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I have been trying out adult romance recently. Fun fact about me.
good.
Yeah.
How's that going?
I gave her Verity,
Not too bad.
which is that's not.
Yeah.
I suppose romance isn't the main
Yeah, I
killer of
wouldn't
that
count
one.
that as a romance. personally, despite the fact that the main character thinks and talks about sex the entire time. You know, like I do too, you know, I can't really fault you that much.
Sure.
But yeah, so it has made me wonder whether I could, like, handle an adult fantasy romance, which I did just sit through Solace by Gail Carricker, and I would technically count that as fantasy romance.
That's fair.
If only because the romance is so intense and very emphasized.
I mean, I have a couple that are really good, but they're honestly like Hades, Persephone retellings.
Of course.
And it's
That's
just,
having
like,
a moment
That's
right
what's
now.
there right now.
They're having their moment, yeah.
Mm.
Do you have another one, Grace?
I mean, yeah, but
Okay.
my turn. I feel like I've talked a lot.
Okay. I was just gonna say, Colleen Hoover is like,
Interesting.
I'm kind of on the fence of having her as a completely do not read because, but like Grace, you've described her as just like, it's like a romance novel, but like you take a little fragile egg and then just like bash it with a hammer. Like it's just
What an image.
I don't think I described it that way, but I like that you took that.
it's just like no, you didn't describe it that way.
I mean, is it like it's niche? It's niche.
Her whole thing.
Damaged
is,
people.
Here's damaged people. Here's controversial topic. Here's fun concept.
Yeah.
And then somewhere 3/4 of the way in, she's like, "Oh shit, I have to put a bow on this. Let's do the quickest and most obvious answer possible,
Yeah.
or let's wrap it up
Something
ambiguous,
completely left
Great.
field.
but ambiguous, so it's like the reader gets to choose.
Yeah, that's another.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah,
see, like,
now it's smart.
I go for adult romance because I want the like fluffy good feels and just like, or you know, in the Hades Persephone world, I will worship at your feet.
Yes,
like,
that is a good.
you know, and I just based on the way you described Colleen Hoover, I don't think it's my cup of tea. So
She is having a moment right now
She
because she's very big on book talk. I mean, we're gonna do an episode on Verity, I think, because we both read, and we have not quite conflicting, but semi-different opinions.
I think conflicting enough.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting
Chat.
discussion, I think. I mean, I did just finish another book of hers that I did not like. Was a giant waste of my time. It Ends With Us was a giant waste of my time. So, yes and no. But, you know, I'm willing to accept that even. Like, the fact that authors have some books that I like and some books that I don't like.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, say what you want about her. I completely respect the points you just stated, but she does have range. There's a lot of range in those books.
Yeah, I will give you that.
She does tackle a lot of things.
For picking a controversial topic, she picks a lot of controversial topics. Like there's a wide variety in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's just I have to frame her not as a romance author.
Oh, probably.
But the way you described the way she ends things, I don't know if I like that either.
I don't know. I will give her, like, she's also on my do not read list now.
Fair.
Which, like, she already was. She's just not my kind of book. But I did read Verity to, like, see what was up.
I read it and said that I enjoyed it. Not the best thing I've ever read, but like mild enjoyment is the best way to put it. And I said to Grace we should maybe do an episode, so she borrowed my copy, and I imagine it's filled with sticky notes.
It's not actually. I don't know why I didn't do my sticky note business this time.
Well, I have to read it next now.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, like that is probably one of my things. Is that like I think she's worth trying out. Maybe.
You never know until you try.
And like maybe I should try it maybe I should give one of her romances a try instead of
Just not the one I
trusting
just finished.
a random YouTuber and their opinions. To like tell me how it would actually go. But I just like again, it's the I don't want to read about domestic abuse being called romance.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a lot of what her romances are. If they're not like, oh, I'm an 18-year-old dating my teacher, but it's okay because I'm 18, even though I just turned 18.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like.
I'm not
there's a variety. I'm sure you could try it. Like,
there's
find
less
something good,
stakes in it though because they're all standalones.
Yes, exactly.
So if you didn't like it,
no, they're not.
What?
Really?
well, there's one that's a duology.
Slammed is a series, which is the teacher-student one.
Oh, that's like one of the first
and
ones she came
then
out with.
Maybe Someday has like a novella attached to it. And I think she's. I don't know what the duology that you're talking about is.
It ends with us as having there's a sequel, like it's the story from Atlas's perspective. It begins with us,
Oh,
which I will not be reading. So
that just sounds like, I mean, it's a gay series, but there's the, I know it's not.
Talking about a different one.
Yeah. It's a title, what's it called?
Oh, we both die at the end?
No.
Oh,
that
that
was,
one was all
Aristotle and Dante, something and something and something.
Discover the secrets of the
I
universe.
can't remember, it's
Sounds
fine.
cute.
but I have the first
But I
one.
want to know what you're talking about.
No, I'll remember it
about
later. It's fine.
Yeah, probably. So
Um,
I think that's it though, pretty much.
Did you have anything else?
No, I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. I got all my angst out, and honestly, I miss doing this. So I'm glad that we're back, and maybe we'll get back on a semi-regular schedule because we're never gonna commit to the societal expectations of having a regular schedule.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
No, what is time?
What is time?
Yeah.
If my work won't schedule me on the regular, nothing else in my life is going to be scheduled on the regular.
There's our title for this episode. What is time?
Don't waste my time.
Literally.
Yeah.
Straight up. So yeah, as usual, we don't know what we're doing next. We'll probably decide 5 minutes before we start recording,
Yeah.
Like
as per usual. But thank you for joining. Like, subscribe, share with everyone you know, including people you don't. And yeah, that's it pretty much, right?
Yeah?
Wait, we've yet to come up with a sign-off phrase. I don't think we need one, but
No.
no, I don't
What?
think so.
Wait.
What?
Nothing.
What?
We didn't mention her on the fences, but we don't have to because we are wrapping things up.
I mean, I think we did go over some of our on the fences kind
Some
of,
of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's fine.
this
I know.
episode was just chaos, and that's okay. I didn't
Yeah.
feel like mapping out a full organized episode anyway.
No.
It's all good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Do all the things I just told you to do, and keep an eye out for our next episode. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.